Hi everyone, I'm Eng Tiong Chia, MVP in Visual Studio and Development Technologies. Today I'm going to talk about classification and clustering. Today's agenda will cover using classification algorithm, clustering technique, and selecting algorithm. Let's start with using classification algorithm. Classification is a machine learning method that use data to determine the category, type, or class of an item or row of data. For example, you can use classification to classify email filter as spam, junk, or good. Determine whether a patient lab sample is cancers. Categorize customer by their propensity to respond to a sales campaign. Identify sentiment as positive or negative. To create a classification model or classify, first select an appropriate algorithm. Consider this factor. How many classes or different outcomes do you want to predict? What is the distribution of the data? How much time can you allow for training? Machine Learning Studio provides multiple classification algorithm. When you use one versus all algorithm, you can even apply binary classify to a multi-class problem. After you choose an algorithm and set the parameter by using the modules in this session, train the models on label data. Classification is a supervised machine learning method. It over require label training data. When the training is finished, you can evaluate and tune the models when you are satisfied with the model. Use the trained models for scoring with new data. For the clustering technique, what is clustering? It's a method of grouping a data point into similar cluster. It is also called segmentation. Over the years, many clustering algorithms has been developed. Almost all clustering algorithms use the features of individual items to find similar items. For example, you might apply clustering to find similar people by demography. You might use clustering with text analysis to group sentences with similar topics or sentiment. Clustering is called a non-supervised learning technique because it can use in unlabeled data. Indeed, clustering is a useful first step for discovering new patterns and requires little prior knowledge about how the data might be structured or how items are related. Clustering is often used for exploration of data prior to analysis with other more predictive algorithms. How to create a clustering models? In Machine Learning Studio, you can use clustering with either labeled or unlabeled data. In unlabeled data, the clustering algorithm determines which data points are closest together and created cluster around a center point or centroid. You can use the cluster ID and a temporary label for the group of data. If the data has label, you can use the label to drive the number of clusters or use the label as just another feature. After you have configured the clustering algorithm, you can train it on the data by using either train clustering model or switch clustering model. When the model is trained, use it to predict cluster membership for new data point. For example, if you have used clustering to group customer by purchasing behavior, you can use the model to predict the purchasing behavior of new customer. For selecting algorithm, how to choose algorithm? Always answer is depend. It depends on the size, quality, and nature of the data. It depends on what you want to do with the answer. It depends on how the math of algorithm was translated in instruction for the computer you are using. It depends on how much time you have. You can refer to this algorithm cheat sheet from Microsoft. Let's go for a demo. This demo about using clustering in Azure Machine Learning Studio. Let's start with a click on New Experiment and Plan Experiment. Then in the sample experiment, we expand the data set. Then expand the samples, we select forest fire data. Then we go for the data transformation. Then you expand the manipulation and select and drag the select column. Manipulation and select column in data sets beneath the fire's data and connect it. And in the properties, then we get a launch column selector. Then we select temperature, RH, wind, rain, and month, and click to for confirm. Then in the machine learning, we go for initialize model. Then we expand the clustering and drag and drop a cascade clustering. Then you go back for train. Okay. Then we go for select train clustering model. Then drag the k-means clustering to the left of the input of the train clustering models, and for the select column in data set, connect with the right of the train clustering models. Then click on launch column selected. Then we type in temperature, RH, wind, rain, and month. Then we back to a score at the machine learning categorize. Then we select assign data to cluster. Then connect the train clustering model to assign data cluster. Then we right click and click on Run Selector. Then we back to data transformation. Then we go for manipulation also. Then select column and select column in data set. Then we connect it. Then we click on Launch Column Selector. Then we select assignment, month, and rain, and chat it. And we do again for Run Selector. Then we go for result data set and visualize. Then click on month column, then we select assignments. Then from the result, you can see that both group increase in August and September, but to different degree. The end for my demonstration. Here is the resources you can refer to. And thank you for your patience.